Hello there. It's been a very interesting day because there was an opinion poll released last night by the time that you're watching this, but it was released today. On top of everything else, I just wanted to watch the Oscars and have a nice quiet day blobbing out, but I had to deal with all the fucking stupid again today. Deep breath. This is about opinion polls and why you really shouldn't take that much stock in what you see on the news. Whether or not you like the poll results or don't like the poll results, there's one thing that's really problematic with them in a New Zealand Aotearoa context. You see, our parliament is made up of 120 seats, which means to get the majority you need to have 61 seats in parliament after the election. Now, 48 of those seats are set up specifically for electorate MPs, and we've seen in the past, and we could see again in the future, those being gifted or won by parties that don't meet the threshold or overachieve the threshold for what their percentage is at the party vote. Does this make sense? Let me give you an example. Do you remember the good old days when people weren't quite so shitty towards each other and ACT had to be gifted Epsom instead of actually polling high enough to show that a whole bunch of people, like 11% of the country, have no moral compass whatsoever? In those days, ACT wasn't polling high enough to get into Parliament on its own steam. So they were gifted the seat so National had a friend that they could play with. And at the same time, it caused an overhang in Parliament because they didn't hit the threshold, but they got a seat. What we're likely to see in this upcoming election, if there is an overhang caused, it's actually going to be by Te Pāti Māori. And the reason for that is they're polling at about 3% at the moment, which should be 2 to 3 MPs. But history has shown us that those Māori electorates tend to swing back and forth between Labour and Te Pāti Māori. And they had a big swing towards Labour last time, and there's a lot of changes happening within those seats this time. So Te Pāti Māori is set up to do quite well in those seats. But generalised polling, which just looks at percentages of what party is there, doesn't catch that nuance. So if Te Pāti Māori win something like all 8 Māori seats as an example, but only get 3 to 4% of the party vote, then suddenly we have an overhang of a couple of extra MPs, which then needs to be factored into what the balance of power is going to be able to control and therefore govern. Complicated, right? Not really. If a party wins more electorates than they've won party votes, there's an overhang, plain and simple. Polling doesn't show that. It can't show that because it's not done based on electorates. It's done on a general vibe. So always take it on board when you see poll results. Whether you like them or not, they're never going to be as accurate as election day. I mean, nothing's going to be as accurate as election day.